You are now watching a True Knicks Talk podcast post-game show live with your host, CP.
Brunson sets three-pointer, gets his hand, 3 seconds left, put it up for three. What a combination by Jalen Brunson.
It's your boy CP here with my man Nick, my co-host Nick from the He Did It To Me podcast. Nick, how are you doing? We have an electric game to talk about. Oh my goodness. I was about ready to call it quits at this point. I was about ready to call it quits, and the New York Knicks quite literally do the unspeakable and have a tremendous sequence. We're going to talk all about this game, give our raw, instant reactions. I appreciate everyone in the chat. We'll get to your comments. Nick, first and foremost, how are you doing today?
I don't know, man. So you might have to have somebody come check on me here in a little bit, just because the range of emotions. I mean, listen, let's just go ahead and get into it. Who cares how I'm doing? How about those Knicks?
104, 101. I was quite literally ready to end my night with an even series tie, and I am absolutely speechless. And I just want to shout out everyone in the chat right now. We got Mason saying LFGK. We got Josh in here supporting the chat as always. We got Junior in here saying LFGK as well. And we got Jay saying, let's go. Jeremy as well saying 2-0. Yes, your Knicks are 2-0 in these playoffs. It took a complete effort from start to finish. This is quite literally probably one of the craziest games I've ever witnessed. And in quite some time. Listen, I've witnessed quite some crazy games, but this is literally the craziest game I've witnessed in the last couple of years, and the Knicks pulled out. I don't know how they did, because guess what? Jalen Brunson wasn't at the top of his game, and let's just get right into the box score here as well. Here are your starting five as well. And Nick, don't forget, you think that I'm going to forget, first of all, that you said, right? I'm going to pin this on you, and I'm going to pin this on you because I know this is us, but I'm going to pin it on you because last stream you said Jalen Brunson hasn't had back-to-back bad games in however, God knows how long. But listen, he had back-to-back bad games, and the Knicks still leading the series 2-0 is absolutely phenomenal. Here is your box score right here. I don't even know where to take this stream right now. I don't know where to take this analysis, so I'm going to let you start it off. Like, what shocked you? What got you hype? Obviously, we have to talk about Josh Hart. Like, Josh Hart obviously was the epitome of this team tonight, especially carrying us for the first half at least, maybe even 3/4. But where do you start this off at?
I mean, from the very beginning of the game, Brunson still seemed exactly like he was last game. He said it in the post game that he was too sped up. It seemed like he was taking shots that weren't typically his. And like you said, thank God for Josh Hart. Josh Hart, where would we be without him in the first half? I mean, at one time I wrote down in my notes that we were lucky to be down only 20-13. We continued to hang around that, 7-point mark for most of the first half. And we had some turnovers killing us early. And then at the end of the first quarter, I mean, you have Bogey making that silly turnover. And then Josh Hart in the second quarter is just unreal. He keeps us in the game. He's doing, 2-for-1 pull-up threes. And Brunson continues to be an absolute no-show. And then we get into the third quarter. We're playing pretty well. We're getting into it. We get into the fourth quarter. That place, end of the third quarter into the fourth, where we really started to play well is when Brunson was not on the floor. So I'm not going to second guess Tom Thibodeau for bringing Brunson back in, but I would have given a little bit.
You can't second guess that.
I would have given a little couple more minutes. We were up by like 8 at that point. I'd have given a couple more minutes with that Ragu, Deuce, and then Bogey was out there at one point. I kind of like what we were doing. Bogey hits those 2 back-to-back huge threes. God, it was just like, yo, can this guy please hit a shot? And he hits it. He knocks him down both. Everything's going well. My criticism is not the fact that you bring Brunson back in, but you bring Brunson back in, and for the next 6 minutes down to the end of the game, every play is a Brunson ISO and everybody else is just watching him. Why did that happen? I don't know. That's on Brunson. That's on coaching. That's on everybody involved. Everybody just started watching him. It reminded me of Melo in the Woodson days. It just made absolutely No sense. We seemed like we totally pissed the game away. And then, as bad as Brunson played, he made the two biggest plays. He hits the contested three off the rim, it drops in, and then he gives the pressure on the inbound pass that leads to the turnover that after a scramble. And that play really epitomizes New York Knicks basketball because we just refuse to give up. We continue to fight, and we end up finding Ragu, top of the key, bang, we take the lead. OG makes his free throws, and we somehow pull out a win. I mean, just so improbable. I was so ready to just be annoyed for the rest of the night. And for the next few days, I'm already thinking about we don't play against until Thursday. I'm going to have to deal with this. Brunson, what are you doing? And, it just doesn't even make any sense that this guy could play this badly 2 games in a row now, but yet we've been able to come away with 2 playoff wins.
It takes a total team effort. This is playoff basketball. This is quite literally playoff basketball. And honestly, on that scramble on the play that you're talking about, I was so ready for the refs to call a foul. I was so ready for it. And I was going to be absolutely so pissed off. But guess what? They let the guys play. They let playoff basketball take shape. And the Knicks came away with the ball. I believe Dante actually it took 2 threes from Dante because the initial one had missed. It took a long rebound by, I believe.
It wasn't even a long rebound. It was a rebound by Hartenstein, but he just soared in out of nowhere and snatched the ball right around the rim. Yeah.
Yes, it was a rebound by Hartenstein, not a long rebound, just a rebound by Hartenstein, kicking it back out to Devo at the top of the key.
He actually kicked it out to OG. And OG swung it to Devo.
Yes, exactly.
As he was falling down to the ground, he shoveled it to OG. OG swung it to Devo. Devo, bang.
Boom, bang. And at the top of the key, too. And it wasn't even like a three-pointer that was like right at the line, man. That was like a deep three. It wasn't a deep three, but like, you know what I mean? And I was like, yo, as soon as he released that, I was like, I think at that point, Devo was like 3 of 5 or 3 of 6 from 3. I was like, all right, listen. At midair, I'm kind of doing slow motions with it. I'm like, is this going in? And I just completely lose my shit as soon as it just drains and finds the bottom of the net. Listen, this is a resilient team. Credit to the Philadelphia 76ers. Just one time, I'm going to just give him 5 seconds of credit. Tyrese Maxey battling the illness. Obviously, he was going to play. There was no doubt in my mind that if he was ever going to play, he was going to play this game. And he had to turn out 30-plus points and be the same thing. But listen, the Knicks are a resilient bunch, and this is what playoff basketball is all about. It's all about the resiliency. It's all about the grittiness. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, shout out to the referees for not calling any single foul there because they get very trigger happy when they see the most minimal of contact and they're straight to that whistle. So very happy the Knicks didn't get screwed over there. But listen, I want to shout out the chat as well. Mason saying bing bong. We got Jay in the chat saying let's go. We got Matt Gabbro saying Hart is a dog for playing all 48 minutes. Josh Hart is that guy. He's that guy. He's been that guy. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you. There's a select few Twitter users out there, ex-users, saying that he needs to hit the gym. You need to hit the gym because guess what? Josh Hart is that guy. And I don't know if you saw what Josh Hart said about the most recent poll of coaches of the year and Tom Thibodeau, these anonymous players that are just ducking the grind and don't want to play for Tom Thibodeau. Josh Hart was like, nah, man. We love Tibbs. We love the practices he runs, and he is that guy. And honestly, you can't slander Tom Thibodeau for everything that he's done for this New York Knicks organization. And if you are one of those players that was anonymously sending in your answers saying you're too old to undergo any sort of practices that Tom Thibodeau runs, then we do not want you here. You stay where you're at right now and keep being anonymous and keep sending those anon answers in because you're probably sitting and watching the playoffs from the couch because that's how much work you put in. It's 0. So shout out to Josh Hart. Absolutely. And shout out to Josh as well in the chat saying Hart is the epitome of a New York Knick. Josh Hart, more like Josh All right, Josh, you're getting a little corny on me, but I love it anyways. He's not like these soft ass 2024 mofos here to work, and he's here to be a leader. Absolutely. And that's exactly what the New York Knicks brought Josh Hart in from Portland last year to do. And the shooting is just gravy on the top. You see here, Josh Hart, 21 points on the night, 15 rebounds, doing what he does best, working the glasses on both sides of the ball. We know he's a little undersized, but he's going to be scrappy. He's got that dog in him, and he's going to get the loose rebounds. And he went 4 of 7 from 3-point range, following up where he left off in game 1, sinking a couple of clutch 3-pointers from there on out. We got Daniel in here. We got Josh in here as well. Listen, I don't know if I can get any more hyped than this right now. Until we close out this series, I probably will not be as hyped because this is a complete win. And also, in a couple of slides, we'll look at the bench scoring. The Knicks didn't even get that many contributions or that much contributions off the bench in terms of scoring, right? We know Bogey had those back-to-back sort of clutch big three-pointers, but the scoring differential from the bench was night and day in this game from game 1, and the Knicks still find a way to pull it out. Nick, listen, I don't know, pick up where I leave off because I'm just spitting and I'm just randomly spitting. And this just like, there's no words. There's no like monologue. There's no notes we have. There's literally just emotions and reactions right now. And I love.
Hey, man, listen, with that article that came out today by Fred Katz in The Athletic, and also the poll for all the players that, like you said, is anonymous. One thing that I wrote, I actually put it on Twitter earlier. I said the list from The Athletic is quite telling. This is why we out tough most teams, because we got players that want to work and be coached hard. Fuck all these softies around the league, you know? Like there's some guys that are just too soft for Tibbs. That Minnesota team was too soft for Tibbs. And that's why he had to move on. Jimmy Butler had to move on. And we
Facts.
are built like that. And that's the thing is that, Josh Hart is going to step up for Tibbs. Tibbs is going to step up for his guys. We're all going to step up for each other. This entire team has stepped up for Brunson when he has been an absolute shell of himself and hasn't been the player that any of us expected to be. And especially seeing it happen a second time, it's now I'm starting to get a little nervous. Now I'm starting to be like, yo, don't let this be Julius against the Hawks a few years ago. You know what I mean? Where I've seen this one guy all season, and now it's not just that he's missing shots. There's times where, like at the end, where he shoots that shot and it goes in and out. There's the forcing of the shots. Brunson, just move the ball. Let the ball get swung to you with a defender in some sort of a disadvantageous position and be able to attack off of that. Everything is so forced, and then we're playing well. Like I said, I was going screaming at the TV at the end of the game. Why are we just running an ISO for Brunson every single friggin' play? And this guy, he's taking the toughest shots ever. Guys are all over him. He's shooting air balls and shit. I'm just like, yo, move the ball. And then listen, I like Josh Hart, but I don't want a Josh Hart taking a shot early in the shot clock when it's under 2 minutes and the game is close. I take the shot when you have to, but I just don't think that should be the game plan. I thought towards the end we lacked a little bit of creativity on offense, but as I've been saying to you all season, CP, I've been saying the thing that the Knicks have done is that some of it has been against inferior competition that we probably shouldn't still be in a game with. Some of it has been against other good teams, but what we've done is we've won close games down the stretch. And as a team, you learn how to do that. The only way to learn how to do it is to go out there and do it. We've done that. And now, somehow, some way, we're able to pull this game from the grasps of defeat when it seemed like we had no chance and it's all lost. And then we get a shot that rims in. This guy, of all the shots that he's taken that have rimmed out, he finally gets one that rims in. And then he puts a little bit of pressure. We fight for that ball. There were 0 calls in that last play that were even close, like the borderline could have possibly been a foul against us. There was no fouls there at all. And how does Nick Nurse win that challenge when DiVincenzo gets slapped up like 3-4 times? So what? Once you slap the ball and the ball's loose in the air, then at that point you could slap the person 3 or 4 times and everything's all good. I couldn't understand everybody on Twitter in the timeout, as well as what's his name, Van Gundy, who Van Gundy seems like he hates on us all the time, but even he was saying that was an obvious foul. Yet somehow they get the ball, and then right after that, like it just seems like everything starts going bad for us. Embiid is fucking unreal. This guy, Maxey is a blur. He's unstoppable. But yo, how about Hartenstein with that block on Maxey at the end of the game? That ends up being possibly the biggest play of the game, definitely the biggest defensive play of the game. And Hartenstein played fantastic. We're so lucky to have the duo that we have at center.
Yep.
Hartenstein's shot making tonight was absolutely necessary. And in last game, we had Mitch playing the way that he played. I mean, we're just so lucky to have them both. Hartenstein with a huge rebound as well. Wow, man. What a fucking win. What a win.
What a win, bro. And honestly, like we're talking about all this, Hartenstein obviously notching 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, right? The floaters were on fleek today. Jalen Brunson assisting most of those floaters today. Anunoby, man, like we haven't even seen him turn up on offense, right? I'm not sure when we will, but 4 of 10 from the field, 8 points. We're not even getting any offensive contribution from Mr. OG Anunoby.
2 clutch free throws.
Two clutch free throws. I will give him that. But you know what I mean, though? Like, there's a lot left to be desired from this Knicks team pulling out 2 gutsy wins while the team is still struggling to sort of find that happy medium, right? And I really do feel like that. Like, they're playing good, but they could be playing great. And they're not even playing great yet. And they took 2 from the Philadelphia 76ers. Listen, hats off to Embiid. Hats off to Maxey. They're dogs. We know that. They're a 2-headed monster. Not much contribution that they're getting on that team outside of those 2 guys. Maybe I'm going to knock on wood that Batum doesn't catch fire. Paul Reed, you're out of here. I don't know why you were talking before the series. I'm not even worried about you, buddy. You're out of here. And who else am I missing? I mean, Buddy Hield. Let's hope that he doesn't catch fire. Listen, there's a couple other guys out there that can catch fire, especially from behind the arc, and they haven't yet. So keep them at bay. The defense has been great. There's a lot of aggression on the defensive side of the ball, and I like the way the Knicks are just standing on 10 toes on the defensive side of the ball, man. I really do. Josh Hart, we can't really say anything more about the guy. We really can't at this point. There's nothing more left to say about Josh Hart. So we're just going to leave it at that. But shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate you all. Keep dropping those comments. Jay saying 2-0 with Brunson struggling. I feel really good about the rest of the series. Absolutely. That's one of the points that, like, you can genuinely say Jalen Brunson has shot around 30% from the field in the first 2 games, and the Knicks have won both of those games. I get it. It was a tight game 1. The score is not really indicative of how tight that ball game really was until the end. Game 2, we know that it took I don't want to say miracle, but a miracle sequence for the Knicks to actually take the lead there late in the game and pull it out. But you got to feel good as a Knicks fan, knowing that this team is not quite gelling 100% just yet and still being 2-0 in the first round of the playoffs. So absolutely, I agree with you, Jay. Josh is saying Tibbs is an old school legend. This guy really is, man. This guy is out there like honestly, game was on TNT. I had to watch the TNT overtime that the NBA.com package gives me, whatever NBA TV gives me. All I hear is, because there's no commentators during that, I'm sitting there watching a backboard camera. Like, I'm not even watching a broadcast, Nick.
Really?
Like, I hope you know that. I'm not even watching a broadcast. I'm literally watching from the backboard camera the action with no commentators, and I'm sitting there listening to Tom Thibodeau just screaming at the players at the top of his lungs. I can hear everything, and it's great.
I got a password for you, brother. We can't be.
Yeah, please. I mean, hook me up or something, because today's game was on TNT and that was very hard to watch, but I made do with what I got. But listen, we'll talk about that elsewhere. Tom Thibodeau, absolutely being an old school coach that he is, a shame that he didn't get Coach of the Year any votes. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's an abomination. So we'll save that talk for later. We got Wicker Media in here. Can't believe Philly showed the Philly shows are blaming the ref. Did you expect anything else? Did we expect anything else here from Philly fans? I saw a Philly fan, Nick. Like, I understand that there are trolls to every fan base. I understand it. But when I see Philly fans on my X account talking about go for Jalen Brunson's knee, that's when it takes a different turn. It's like, especially when you're a fan of like a team that has their star player already nursing a knee injury, to say that about the opposing team star player that you're wishing that upon them, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, I'm not going to characterize the whole Philly fan base just off of that one instance. I'm not. But there's a lot of excuses pouring in from the Philly side. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm
I
not sure
mean,
how much of it you've seen, but I'm not surprised at all.
listen, we're not just basing it on that. This is a long history here. You know what I mean? Like that's the only place I've ever went and seen a Mets game as an opposing. I've seen it. Been in an opposing stadium and went and saw a Mets game, and I didn't even wear Mets gear just because I know how Philly cats get down, and
Facts.
it's
Facts.
yo man, like this is long standing here. We know, the Santa Claus, Michael Irving with the spinal injury, and they're cheering him. They're throwing snowballs at guys and shit. This is how they get down out there in Philly, and I'm not surprised that I want somebody to explain to me what calls that they felt like they should have gotten that they didn't get, especially down the stretch. They got that crazy phantom challenge, and there was a few other calls. I mean, Josh Hart is getting slapped upside the head. Brunson seems to never get a call. Embiid gets every call, every call. So a lot of them he deserves to get. I thought, listen, there was definitely times in that game where the refs were frustrating me, but I thought overall they let him play both ways, mostly. And there was a couple times where I was like, how are you going to blow that whistle with the way this game's being played? But typically they did let them play. But yeah, man, I mean, Philly people, I'm looking at right now. I don't even know if this guy's a Philly guy, but Hoops reference. I just commented to him on X. He commented 2 hours ago, I don't care about the result of this game or even the rest of the series to feel comfortable saying that the way Knicks fans were talking about Hartenstein before the series started was fucking insane. LOL. I just hit him back with just a pardon with a question mark, and like it's just like, yo man, cats put stuff out there and they just they're so matter of fact about things, and it's like, yo, the guy's guarding Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's pretty good. I think we can all agree on that. So no, he's not going to
Right.
just lock him up. But overall, Hartenstein ends up being one of the most important, one of the most important factors in this game, not just with his play
Yep.
down the stretch, but how he played basically in the entire second half. And at the end of the day, we are going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to come at you. Our team never gives up. They never, ever just feel like they're out of a game. And even with Brunson playing as bad as he was still putting in supreme effort at the end. You have to give him credit for that. And he ends up making two of the biggest plays that allow us to have a chance to be back in that and eventually win that game. And if you're Philly, if you're them, if you're their fan base, especially if you're their coach and their players, how demoralized are you right now?
Yeah.
You
Very.
coming in and you think that if we hold Brunson to 30%, we got a good chance. Incorrect. If we come out here and we have both Embiid and we have Maxey going for 30 plus, that we got a good chance. Sorry, once again, incorrect. And you can't tell me that when they're up by 4 with less than a minute to go, that they're not all feeling like, all right, we got out with a split. Once again, incorrect. So they got to be demoralized. Like I saw earlier in the chat, who was it that said it? Sorry, okay. Here we go. New York Sports, Wikimedia. Just take one of the next two, and we finish in 5. That was my prediction from the beginning. Was Knicks in 5, and we look like we're in position to do that. I just need Brunson, man. Whatever, like Monstar stole his powers or whatever. Just like hopefully he can figure out a way to get him back. He's got a couple days off. I don't know, whatever you got to do, get your mind right, Brunson. We need you, baby. We need you.
Yeah, we definitely need him. And like Bigger Media here is saying as well, just take one of the next two, finish in 5. And also, we haven't said it at all because we're so hyped in this post-game stream. Hit that thumbs up on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel, not only mine, but also the He Did This To Me podcast over on YouTube as well. Link's gonna be in the description of my stream. Make sure you go, and this is also being streamed to your YouTube as well, I believe. So make sure you go for all your latest New York sports needs, go and subscribe over there. So I definitely appreciate that from Wicker Media. I appreciate everyone in the chat here today. And also, yeah, absolutely, Isaiah Hartenstein is and was an X factor today, right? Because that type of scoring that we got from Isaiah Hartenstein is not being replicated by Mitchell Robinson. I know Mitchell Robinson is a great figure. He's a great sort of, I guess, contest against Joel Embiid, as is Isaiah Hartenstein. But I think that Mitchell Robinson's defense, I'll take that a little bit over Isaiah Hartenstein. You're not getting the same offensive production from Mitchell Robinson that you are Isaiah Hartenstein, bar none. So shout out to Isaiah Hartenstein. You can't really judge someone's game when you're going up against a player of the caliber of Joel Embiid and just looking at how many points he scored. Like, that's not a measurement of how Isaiah Hartenstein played the game of basketball tonight. Like, absolutely not. So I appreciate that. And Ethan saying, not Knicks related, but Quintana quit walking people. Maybe he's walking people today. The Mets are going on today. We'll tune into that as soon as the stream is over. But nonetheless, this is Knicks right here. Ethan, you're my Mets correspondent in this stream right now. I'm going to tune into that game as soon as we get off of here. But we have a hype game to talk about here. 104-101, the New York Knicks take game 2 of the series in the opening round against the Philadelphia 76ers. Absolutely electric. I can't get over my raw feelings in this game, seeing this team down late in the fourth quarter before that crazy sequence happened. It's just like, I have to sit here and go on stream and talk about a Knicks loss in a game that, honestly, we didn't do good enough to win. Like, we didn't do enough to win, but I thought that we could just squeak it out. And that's exactly what they did in just crazy fashion. They squeaked it out. So let's see here. Mets are not putting the effort. All right, I don't want to hear all that. I don't want to hear all that. That's not the best news that I want to hear about the New York Mets. But listen, man, let's take a look at the team statistics. The team statistics tonight, Nick. Here are your field goal percentages, free throw percentages, 3-point percentages, rebounds, and assists. Team totals here, Knicks versus 76ers. A little bit different than the first time around in game 1. Obviously, the New York Knicks shot 45%, over 45% from three-point land in game 1, down to 33.3% here in game 2. The 76ers actually outshoot the New York Knicks from 3 today. The free throws made all the difference in the world here in terms of the free throw percentage. And you see the field goal percentage also was in favor of the Philadelphia 76ers. Listen, I don't know what you take away from these team statistics here. Like, I don't know, like, when I look at this, I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I know the Knicks still got the dub, but it's like the Knicks can play so much better. That's what I take away from it. But really, I look at the free throw discrepancy by like just under 10%. I'm like, that made all the difference in the world. And listen, for all you Philadelphia 76ers fans out there, if you're complaining about the refs, we literally see the phantom calls that Joel Embiid gets sometimes. There was at least 2 to 3 phantom calls today that Joel Embiid got that made me scratch my head. And listen, I get it. It's a part of the game. The guy's over 7 feet tall. He's a big body out there. There's contact that's bound to happen. I understand that. But when you look at the replay and you look at some of these foul calls that Joel Embiid gets, it makes me scratch my head. But nonetheless, what do you take away from these numbers?
Man, I don't care about those numbers, man. Listen, the one thing I take away from it is the rebounding thing. If you look at the rebounding, clearly you could tell from the beginning that they made a huge effort to keep us off the offensive glass. Yet we were still able to win the rebound battle, and we still were able to get 12 offensive rebounds total as a team. And they, on the other hand, only had 10 offensive rebounds. So that's always going to be a plus for us. And other than that, listen, this is one of those, throw away the statistics, throw away the analysis. You know, I would have liked certain different things about the rotations. What it comes down to is this. Jalen Brunson has not looked like anything close to himself. He's played as bad as he can possibly play. And yet we're still up 2-0. And you just got to continue to hope. I'm done stepping out there on the ledge and saying there's no way that he's going to have three. No, I'm not doing that anymore, Jalen. I'm going to have to see it. I'm going to have to see it now. I rode with you. I
Nice.
said it before, but now I got to see it. And, hopefully maybe getting a little bit away from the home crowd, having a couple days. I think these are all things that might help him just slow down a little bit and just let the offense come to him. And I really hope that the coaching staff sees that in the fourth quarter when we reinserted him back into the game and we started running ISO Brunson as the only possible play that we could run, all of a sudden the offense got stagnant, and that's when they stormed back and eventually took the lead that they would at some point relinquish once we were able to pull it out of the hat at the end. So hey, if we could just get normal Brunson, it's an easy game. It's an easy game. So now we go to Philly. We've been good on the road all season. That Philly crowd, there's gonna be a whole lot of Knicks fans in that Philly crowd. We already know that's going to be the case. So if we can get after them early, continue to make Embiid run up and down the floor, because we know that he cannot do that to the level that he typically can. And man, 2-0, exactly where we're supposed to be. We've held serve. Now let's go win one on their court and go ahead and get it done. Go ahead and close it out.
And this is where I think the series, like, not only what we've seen so far, but what we might hopefully continue to see is that the New York Knicks are a complete team, man. It takes all of them to win a ball game. And we'll talk about the bench here in just a second, because obviously today was a little bit of a different sort of showing from the bench than game one. But the Philadelphia 76ers don't feel like a complete team. It just feels like a two-headed monster out there, and they're doing all the work. And what other contributions are they getting from their teammates alongside them? Like, I don't want to jinx that too, because I just don't want I don't want to see Buddy Hield, Nick Batum, all these other guys start to hit their shots. Like, but I just have felt through the first two games, like, maybe if Maxey and Embiid get a little bit of help, this might be a complete 180 of a ball game. But anyways, nonetheless, we'll talk about that in game three. Maybe if things change, we'll talk about that. Let's just talk a little bit about the bench before we end the stream. 42 bench points compared to 16 bench points. Game one versus game two. Obviously, you see here Deuce versus Bogey, or not versus, but Deuce and Bogey, in the sort of the combination of the bench scoring. What are you really expecting from this bench moving forward? Like, obviously, an ideal scenario, right? We want a replication of game one. We've already said that the three-point shooting in game one is not going to be sustainable. And honestly, the bench scoring in game one, probably not going to be sustainable as well. Deuce McBride's not going to continuously get you 20 plus points. And Bogey, in an ideal scenario, will definitely get you 10 plus off the bench consistently, but you just don't know if that's going to happen right now as we speak. So what are you expecting consistently at the very minimum? Like, let's just set a minimum bar for this Knicks bench moving forward in the playoffs. So what are you looking?
I mean, well, with Bogdanovich, even with a couple of big shots that he hit, and I thought he was playing decently out there. I mean, he only played 11 minutes. So, I mean, you play 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Hey, when you're out there, get him up. He got up 7 shots. He hit 2 of them. He hit those 2 big threes. And I thought he did all right. McBride actually is the only person to have a negative plus minus. He was -8 today. I thought that Deuce actually looked like he played pretty well. He especially looked like he played well, like I said, at the beginning of that fourth quarter when he was on the floor with both Ragu and with Hart. And I just think that those guys are going to this is like the minimum of what we need from you guys. And if we get this minimum from these guys and Jalen Brunson is, half of what he typically is, we win this game comfortably. If we get a game like last game and Jalen Brunson is half of what he is, then we should blow teams out. So everything comes back to Jalen right now. And he's very, very lucky, and he should feel very, very fortunate that he has the teammates that he does. But this is what we've been all season. We've been a team where different guys step up on different nights, and we have a lot of different pieces. All of the credit due to our guy, Dante DiVincenzo. He's the one person that at one point where he was out in the fourth quarter, I was like, listen, I know Tibbs likes Deuce. I know that Jalen is Jalen. We got to figure out a way to get Ragu back on the floor. And I was glad that we did get back to him. And, he was very instrumental, not only hitting that shot, but he was involved in, the initial loose ball. The ball was kicked to him. You said when that second one went up, the first one, I was like, and it felt long off of his hand. When the ball got kicked in for the second one, I was like, there's no way he's missing two in a row. Just for that, like in my head, I was like, that's cash. And obviously it was. He was able to, reward my faith with sending me off with a great night, man, because like you said, I was already thinking about, damn, man, I got to hop on the stream now and just sit here and talk about Brunson and hear about how shitty Brunson has been. Now, what I got over here, Becky Hammond and Candace, and Candace Parker. They probably were just licking their chops, ready to come out and be like, you see, and now we've taken the pressure off of him. The pressure's still on him. He's got a lot of pressure on him coming into this next game. But I don't know, man. Do some yoga. Go meditate with a monk or some shit. I don't know, man. Go to the Canal Street and have somebody, kill a chicken in your name or some shit. I don't know. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, man. Honestly, at the bare minimum for me, the bench points needs to hit at least 22 to 24 points. I'm not expecting a whole barrage of 42 points off the bench. I understand Deuce McBride is not going to shoot as well as he did from three the first game around. We all know that Deuce McBride can shoot the ball. Like, that man has offensive game, but I'm not expecting that every single game, what he produced in game one. But listen, yeah, Jalen Brunson, at the end of the day, we really haven't talked about it, but Jalen Brunson did put up two stinkers in a row. 30% from the field each game. Looked like there was a lot of shots that were just rimming in and out. A couple turnovers there also mixed in between. So, like, I really do feel like Jalen Brunson can play a cleaner ball game, and it's really a miracle that we're talking about a 2-0 Knicks team in this playoffs with a Jalen Brunson that hasn't quite looked like himself. A Knicks team that the bench scoring was lackadaisical tonight. And a Knicks team that is going to miss the entire playoffs without Julius Randle. They're not going to be with any Julius Randle. So, like, it's really kind of a miracle at this point for me to say here that we are 2-0 versus maybe even more likely 1-1, because I really do feel like the Knicks played a perfect ball game or close to perfect in game one. There's a lot of stuff that can get cleaned up, but I feel like as a team, they played as close to perfect as like I have envisioned for them. But yeah, man, this is an absolute, like, I said it was going to be a long series. I don't know if it's going to be a long series. Obviously, everything will be determined by what happens in Philly. It's going to be a different crowd. The Knicks fan base is definitely going to take over. We all know that. That's going to happen. But, like, the crowd energy is just going to be a little bit different than MSG. I don't want to give any predictions here. Like, normally on a stream, I would say, let's give our predictions. Like, we would say, oh, it's going to be a gentleman sweep, etc. On the Blue Shirts Banner podcast last night, after the Rangers game, we didn't give our predictions, but we were kind of just like, all right, who's winning the Canes versus Islanders series, because we're going to see them in round 2, most likely. I don't want to say that for this series because, listen, you know what? I'm not going to discount what the Philadelphia 76ers have up their sleeve at all. So give us your final words, Nick, and then we'll see everybody else on the post game on Thursday.
I've said it before the series started. I'll say it again, Knicks in 5. And, anybody who has ever questioned how much we do or don't need Joel Embiid, I'm sorry, how much do we don't need Julius Randle? If you don't see how much we miss Julius Randle right now, watching this game and watching how we rely so much on one guy and how tough it is for him, and if he just had one other guy who had some gravity to him and could allow him to catch the ball on the move or in a more favorable position, how much that would mean for him as far as making things easier. And I still think we're going to win in 5. If Jalen Brunson can wake the fuck up, then we'll win in 4. And I just think that, we've thoroughly outplayed this team in everything other than our star player stepping up and being a star player. Their two star players have done that both games. Our star player has not even come close to his barometer.
At all.
Not even close. And yet we still are up 2-0. I think especially this next game in Philly, if we can come out and we can blitz them early, them Philly Boo Birds are going to come out. The Nick Faithful are going to get loud. And then all of a sudden, Joel's upset. You ever see that after the game, somebody did a voiceover when Kawhi hit that shot against them a few years ago, the shot from the baseline off the rim, then won the series, where he's hugging his girl afterwards and he's crying and they make like a voiceover and he's like, oh, fuck
Nah, I didn't see
Kawhi. Yeah.
it.
I could see him starting to get into that mode where, he's starting to get all teary-eyed and he's putting his head down and now he wants to get mad at the refs and this and that. We need to come out and blitz them early. We need Brunson to come out cooking on that straight Bunsen burner mode and then just put these guys away. They're already demoralized. Let's go ahead and step on their necks.
Yeah, absolutely. Step on their necks, step on their throats. And listen, honestly, I talked about this earlier in the lack of contributions that the Knicks were getting offensively out of OG Anunoby. That would have changed if the New York Knicks had Julius Randle, because the Philadelphia 76ers would have had to put Tobias Harris onto Julius Randle, which is honestly food for Julius Randle at the end of the day. But nonetheless, OG Anunoby would have definitely had a mismatch there and would have definitely had a lot more opportunities to score the rock if Julius Randle's out there. So that's just sort of like a mix and match sort of lineup matchup that you get with Julius Randle on the court. So I don't want to hear anybody talking about how the New York Knicks are better off with no Julius Randle. It's a blessing that we are here 2-0. Speaking about this team being 2-0 without Julius Randle. But listen, I understand Julius Randle has disappointed in his first two playoff appearances. One really was, I'm not going to give him any excuses, but injury for the last go around. We'll not talk about the 2020-21 version. But listen, you know what? At the end of the day, the main question is from Junior, how do you sleep tonight after this Knicks game? I don't think you do, to be honest with you. I don't think you do. What do you think, Nick?
Man, I'm lucky tomorrow because I got a conference which doesn't start until like 8:30 in the morning my time. Typically, I start my days much earlier than that. So therefore, I'll be able to stay up tonight a little bit. We're gonna have to break open a bottle of vino. We're gonna have to, we're gonna have a little fun tonight because I'm still buzzing off that win. And hey man, Brunson, please come back. Please come back to us, guy. Please be the guy that we expect you to be. But wow, man, we were able to pull that thing out. We grabbed it from the jaws of defeat. What a win. Let's fucking go, Knicks.
Yeah, let's go Knicks. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Thank you all for watching the True Knicks Talk post-game show. We definitely appreciate everybody that took their time out of their night in this post-game to sit here and listen to us give our initial reactions. As always, make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe to both channels, not only my channel at CPNY Sports, but also the He Did This To Me podcast channel on YouTube. There's your @ type it in. It's going to be in my description as well. Make sure you go subscribe. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Obviously, co-hosted by myself and Nick, one of the two duo at the He Did This To Me podcast. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you to everybody that hit the live chat today as well. It makes the conversation go so much more smoothly. And I love getting all the different perspectives out of the live chat as well. We appreciate you all. Listen, my final thoughts is go out there, step on their neck, step on their throats. What Nick just said, 3-0 in the series. I don't even want to see this series go 2-1. Go 3-0, and that's it. As always, it's your boy CP. That's Nick. Appreciate you, Nick. We'll see you all on the next post game after the game on Thursday. Let's go, Knicks. See y'all later. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Knicks Talk podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more Knicks content.